All right, let's talk about the elections in Germany and what this means for the war in Ukraine. What does it mean for NATO? So Germany, in my opinion, is on the verge of collapse. Maybe not just my opinion, but it's based on the fact that they've built an economy on massive manufacturing and industry, which they have been basically bleeding and closing down. You rely on cheap, energy from Russia. That gets closed down. The United States blows up your pipeline. Then you don't have all of that anymore. So the elections this weekend, the CDU, the CSU party coming together, led by Friedrich Merz, came out on top with around 28% of the vote, likely making him the next Chancellor of Germany, kicking out Olaf Scholz. His Liberal Democrats got absolutely crushed, hitting their worst result ever, 16.4%. But Germany doesn't seem ready to close its borders and stop funding the Ukraine war just yet. The globalists seem to be controlling everything. But look, the globalists may have won again. The new chancellor coming is a perfect pick, as Twitter users are pointing out. Ex-chairman of BlackRock Germany supported COVID vaccine passports, wanted restrictions on the unvaccinated, supports EU-wide asylum policies. And then one of his campaign promises, like, we're going to do something about immigration, but then literally today comes out and says this: oh, we're not going to close our borders. Watch.
Niemand von uns spricht über Grenzschließungen. Niemand, obwohl das im Wahlkampf streckenweise behauptet worden ist. Niemand von uns will die Grenzen schließen.
So there goes that campaign promise. Dr. George Cimoli is a senior research fellow at the Global Policy Institute. He's the author of the book Bombs for Peace, NATO's Humanitarian War Against Yugoslavia. So he knows all about NATO's freedom fighters and peacekeepers. And he joins us now from Budapest, Hungary. Doctor, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Great to connect with you. I've been meaning to have you on the show for a long, long time. Thanks for being here.
Good. Very good to be with you.
So Germany has been a key player in NATO's European security strategy, of course, and pushing for more war, more weapons to Ukraine. So with this new incoming government coming in, where is the appetite now in Germany to continue this war in Ukraine, expand NATO right up to Russia's door? What do you see happening after this weekend's elections?
Well, sadly, nothing very much is going to happen. I mean, you summarized the situation very well. It was a historic defeat for the Social Democrats. This is the famous Social Democratic Party of Germany, the party of Karl Marx, Karl Kautsky, Edward Bernstein, Willy Brandt, Helmut Schmidt. These are legendary figures in the history of German social democracy, 16.4%. And yet, the outcome of this election is that the Social Democrats will still be a part of this government. And the Christian Democrats as well did very poorly because Friedrich Merz underperformed. The polls had been predicting that the Christian Democrats will get 30%, which itself is not really great. Much less than they got in the Helmut Kohl era, let alone back in the days of Konrad Adenauer. So this will be the government. This is an all-party government of the center, which means that essentially the voters' concerns are of no real importance whatever. The only thing that matters to them is the maintenance of the status quo, and that's expressed in that consensus view that we have to put a firewall around the Alternative für Deutschland party. This is a party that has now won close to 21% of the vote. And their response to this is we have to put a firewall around it. And as you showed in that clip, it's clear that even on this issue that Friedrich Merz had been talking about now for some time, that, we're really going to crack down on immigration. We're going to distance ourselves from the traffic light coalition. We're going to distance ourselves from Angela Merkel. We are really going to do something about immigration. We're going to address the concerns of that 21% of the public that has voted for the AfD. And he says, we're not going to do anything about it. And this is entirely predictable. We knew this from the start. This is what's going to happen. They're not going to do anything, but they can stay in power for 4 years. That's really what happens in these elections in Germany. It's just about how do we maintain the status quo, and we do play around a little bit of musical chairs. Sometimes the Christian Democrats in, sometimes the Social Democrats, sometimes the Free Democrats, sometimes the Greens. We just play around with it, but fundamentally nothing changes.
But Germans were sold the same propaganda that those of us in the United States are sold, is if you want safe borders, if you want to have to stop these weekly attacks that are happening in Germany, especially against women, if you want that, you're a racist and a Nazi. And so it seems that many Germans accepted that narrative. Is that true?
Well, I think that's a problem that in Germany you have this very powerful liberal political media corporatist consensus that shuts out any alternative points of view. So their response to the rise of the AfD, and let's remember, this is a party that's come from nowhere. I mean, now to be 21% of the vote, it only came into existence, I think, 10 years ago. So it's reached these heights. And the only thing they can do is to just say fascist, racist. We can't bring Hitler back to power. This is Merz said, 1933 is enough for Germany. We've just got to put a firewall around it. And then when Vice President J.D. Vance gave that very powerful, eloquent speech at the Munich Security Conference, saying you can't put firewalls around the Democratic electorate, their response was that, oh, this is an outrageous interference in our elections. And Friedrich Merz went even further than that. He said that this intervention by Vance was so outrageous that it was even worse than the intervention by Moscow. So now he regards the United States as being even worse than Russia. That's saying something.
That was an unbelievable statement. I was blown away by that. Yeah, that J.D. Vance giving a speech in Munich Security Conference was worse than Russia in this, which is amazing. But I want to put up this map because you talked about the AfD and how they really came out of nowhere. Yeah. I mean, these were the election results this weekend. I don't know if you can see this, George, on your screen here, but
yeah, I've seen that map before. Yeah.
It's unbelievable to look at where that line is. I mean, that line, of course, is what was the former division between East and West Germany, essentially. So what do you make of this response here? The western part of Germany goes for the CDU. The AfD is representative in the eastern part of Germany.
It's a very, very interesting, and it shows that the reunification really has not been a success, that we've been led to believe that somehow this huge undertaking by the government in Berlin to reunify the country, bring in the former German Democratic Republic and make it a part of this new Germany, it's failed. It is a stunning development. What's also interesting is that here in what is the former German Democratic Republic, there is no appetite at all for any kind of war, conflict with Russia. They want good relations with Russia. And that's, of course, a part of the AfD platform, which is end this war in Ukraine and return to cordial relations with Russia. And I think that's very, very interesting that these people who supposedly were under the yoke of the Soviet tyranny, the Red Army's boots on their neck, they have a rather fond memories of the German Democratic Republic. And, even, although Sarah Wagenknecht's party did not fare so well, and that in itself is quite interesting what really happened to her. But nonetheless, that was also the stronghold. She herself does come from the East, and the people in the East have kind of fond memories for the German Democratic Republic, which had got a certain social conservatism, and in some ways it retained a character of the older Germany, a kind of tradition of German culture, German history. They succeeded much more than the kind of West Germany, Americanized, kind of colorless, tasteless, cultureless West Germany that was developed after the war. The German Democratic Republic actually retained much more of its traditional Germanism. And I think that's why the people in the East really are not, not at all enthusiastic for these mainstream political parties.
One thing I wanted to ask you, because I was looking at this this parade of leaders who are supporting Zelensky today on the anniversary of the war. Is that Vučić there next to him? Is that Serbian President Vučić? Would he actually stand next to...
I didn't know that he was there. I mean, but I can't see the picture,
looks like
so
him,
I can't
right?
tell.
Okay, because that would seem strange to me if that's...
I don't know. Vučić is very, very tall, so if there's a person...
That's why I thought it was him.
Yeah. I don't know.
I just wondered, because the narrative of Serbia has been anti-war against and Vučić has said many times it's better to go to peace talks for 100 years than a single day of war. So I just was curious if, this Eastern narrative, and a lot of people say to us on Redacted, the further east you go, the more people want to have peace with Russia, and that Ukraine is an outlier. And so is that in fact the appetite? Because Germans seem to be further aligned with that Eastern appetite for peace.
Right. Well, Vučić plays both sides of the street. Wants to maintain good relations with Russia, but he also wants to be in with Brussels. So it wouldn't be wholly out of character for him to show up here in Kiev, and then on May the 9th, he's allegedly going to show up for the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. That's the way Vučić operates. I mean, for instance, Serbia is selling arms to Ukraine, and at the same time, he says, "Well, this war needs to come to an end." He signs all sorts of business deals with Germany, which are actually very unpopular in Serbia, and the huge protests, like the lithium mining deal, which is very much in Germany's interest there. The Serbs are very unhappy with it, but he goes ahead and says, "Well, we have to maintain good relations with Germany," and he keeps pushing for EU membership, even though he knows that the condition for EU membership is you give up your claims on Kosovo and you join the EU in your foreign policy against Serbia, something that is very unpopular among the Serbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know we have Trudeau there, so it turns out it looks like it wasn't Vučić. Well, we have tens of thousands of people watching saying they don't believe it was Vučić, but
okay.
You can always recognize because he's about 2 meters tall, so
he's huge.
He really towers over everybody. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's in Belgrade for now.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. George Samouli, we appreciate you joining us. You got to check out his book called Bombs for Peace. I love the title. NATO's Humanitarian War Against Yugoslavia. Humanitarian War. Doctor, great to see you. I hope you'll come back soon. We thank you so much for being here.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.